Welcome. Welcome to Quarantine with Styles, aka Driving with Styles, aka Watching with Styles, aka just the Styles brand. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. And before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to David Cornett. His handle on Twitter is at DACats86. He sent out a unbelievable tweet, and I really appreciate him for that. And because of that, I got my freaking followers up to over 1K. Wow. And it's all because of him. I appreciate it, David. When I get into town, hopefully this next season, we're going to have to hook up. I appreciate you. I appreciate a lot of people, but off of that tweet, Patrick Looney, Sean King, and JD Hall, they all chimed in. I appreciate the kind words. It really means a lot for followers to say things that they really don't have to say. I got into this thing just because. No plan. Just hook up with old teammates and friends and follow some people that I liked on Twitter with sports and all kinds of other stuff, entertainment. And then it turned into this. I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate everybody who has jumped on board as of today. Don't know what to say. I appreciate you. Hopefully I can live up to what David Cornett set me up for. He set me up for failure. I appreciate it though, Dave. I really do. First thing before we get into the obvious, and for everybody to know the new my new watchers, this is a 30-minute segment. I will get out of here by 8 o'clock. Sometimes I'm long-winded. While I'm here and while you are watching potentially, you should also check out myself and Anthony White. We have a podcast. We broadcast Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 10 p.m. It's a great show, man. It's just like barbershop talk, but it's how we used to talk as former players in the locker room. It's a good listen. It's a good watch. If you have some time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, check that out. And for the new watchers, I'm on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 7:30 to 8:30 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. When in season, if we have a game, I break down film on Monday and Wednesday. Usually I don't want to bump up against Monday Night Football on Monday, so normally I broadcast earlier just so I don't do that because I want to watch the game too. But first thing first is the women's basketball game. I don't know if you guys watched. It was against DePaul, and that meant a little bit more to me because I have a ex-high school athlete that went to DePaul, and so there's a little bragging rights. And I was a little upset with our team. First, the turnovers. Second, to me, and this is going to sound bad, is Ryan Howard didn't play like the dog that she has played like before. I don't know if there's something going on. Just didn't seem like she was totally into it. There was one play where there was a steal, the team stole it, and she jogged down the court. And I can't remember who stopped the drive, but they passed it to a trailer. And if Ryan Howard would have been running, she could have deflected that ball. There's some stuff in that game that I did not like. As I said last year, Chastity Patterson is a stud. I saw her play in the summer when I was helping my sister coach AAU team. She is showing what I said she would show last year. And Dre is a newcomer of the year. She's a baller. And it's weird that now I'm going to say that they need Ryan Howard to step up. She needs to be the Ryan Howard that we all expect her to be. And I know she had a double-double, and that's good for average players. She's not an average player. She is a player of the year candidate. She needs to up her game. And I'm not sure if there's some other things going on or what. She doesn't look the same. And if we would have had her play like her normal self, we would have won that game on the road against a very tough team, a team that we had great size over, and they have some dogs. And that Sonia Morris is a baller. I hope you guys watch the women's basketball team because they are a really fun team to watch. And we need more of BBN to follow and watch them play because, like I say, they are a really good team. Hit me up on Twitter. You can hit me up on YouTube. You can Periscope with questions, comments, statements. They're all welcome. Positive and negative. Doesn't matter to me. Being able to interact with you guys is what makes my day. So chime in if you want to. So obviously, today was a big day. Now, personally, I'm not a big recruiting guru. I watch some film, but to me, it's hard. It's very hard for me to gauge how good a high school player will be because of the just high school football. You can out-athlete a lot of people. You might be the best team in your city, in your state, in your region, etc. It's difficult for me. Now, I can see traits, but for me to say that this kid is going to come to this level and be what we all think he's going to be is very difficult for me. I do like the receivers that I saw the film on. Seemed like we got a couple dogs. And dogs are very important because dogs they respond on game day when another opponent steps in their yard. You can have some good players, but when you have a dog, when those lights turn on and you take that collar off, they perform. And I think I really like all three of them. Or do we get four? Let me check. We got Crowdis. We got three. Crowdis, Maygood, and Christian Lewis. No, we got the other guy, Ross. So we got four. And I like all of them. And I think they complement each other very well. And we got, I think Christian Lewis can be that go-to red zone 50-50 type ball guy. And then we got Crowdis, who's a speedster. And Chauncey Maygood, what I've seen of him, he is underrated. Just like Freddie Maggard said, he hit me up to him yesterday, and I did a little research. I think because he's playing multiple positions, his numbers are not as high as it should be. Because that kid is good, and he runs good routes, has good hands. He was a pretty damn good quarterback too for the times he had to fill in. And then we got the Devontae Ross, which my man Adot White hit me up to. That guy can be special. So we got four receivers I think have a chance to be special. With the new system and Bouknight, hopefully he stays on board, gets a whole offseason, a real offseason with the guy, gets to really coach these kids up. Because in the season, you can't coach. And what I mean by coaching is fundamentals. You can't coach because you're game planning for another team. There's not that many days. Because you got to put in a game plan, a scheme, for the next opponent. So you are going over scheme, you going over plays, you seeing what works best, what you guys can run, etc. So going over fundamentals is very difficult during the season. Those are the things that you go over in the off season. So I'm hoping that Bouknight stays so he can get a chance to really show what he has as a coach because he hasn't had that chance. The pandemic and the time he came in was late. So he didn't have a chance to put his fingerprint on this group. And I saw about the last game, the two games before that we played two of the best teams in the conference. So it's kind of hard. The last game, I saw some improvement from the receivers getting off the line of scrimmage. Now, like I say, improvement is anything. You're playing against an SEC team. I'm glad that I saw some difference in technique in getting off the line. And I think that was maybe implemented on that bye week. But when you play Alabama and Florida, you might go back to you to your old habits. And I think that's what we might have done. And then against South Carolina, I saw some improvement in our route running. And I hope that continues. I really do. So here's the one. So I didn't get a chance to talk about Cohen because you know what? Let me leave Cohen for last. I'm gonna hit this thing with recruits. It's gonna be quick, I think. There are several types of recruits. And for us, we have to hit on the majority of our recruits because we're not going to get the 5-star players. So the one type of recruit is the guy whom you see walking in Walmart and you know, okay, that's a 5-star guy. He visually looks like a 5-star guy. And when you see him play, he flashes. You notice him when you turn on the film. You know, oh, who's number such and such? Now, those kind of guys would typically go to a institution where there's other great players where they can sharpen their tool. Because iron sharpens iron, whatever that cliche is. So they want to go to a winning program where they have great coaches and the ability to practice against great players because they are great. So they need to practice against great players to get even better. So that's the high echelon type of recruit. Now we're not going to get too many of those. I mean, it's just going to be difficult. Why would you come here when you can go to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, LSU, Auburn, etc., Oregon, Oklahoma? It's just Ohio State, on and on and on. So we're not going to get those very often. We can get one every other year, one every 5, one every 6, but on average, we're not going to get those guys. The second one I want to talk about is the freaking clout chasers. Those are the guys who want to get the ring. They would like to play. They think they can play. They kind of overrate their abilities and they just go clout chasing because they want to play for the best school without really assessing can they really play at that school. Because now you have the internet, you have the ability to go up and down a roster to see whom they have on the roster, how good they are. You got film online. You can watch the game and see, okay, well, that guy really is good. But for some of those guys, it doesn't matter. They want to be in that locker room, in that feeling, in that arena, just to say I played for Alabama and I won 2 rings, or I played for Georgia and I won 2 SEC East championships. Some of these kids just want that. Some, not saying all. Then you have some that are just the coach chaser. They fall in love with this coach and they want to go there because they want to be coached by the best, or they want to be coached by a guy whom they feel comfortable with. Now, all these guys I'm talking about, there's nothing wrong with being either one. But you have to understand how recruiting goes. Everybody has a personality. Everybody feels that they should, whatever, be rated higher, should be starting, et cetera, et cetera. And they have people in their corner who's also hyping them up. So you have those coach chasers. So once that coach leaves, then what are they going to do? They're going to probably leave too because they want to go and play for a certain coach, which I hate. And when I hear people say, well, why are these kids leaving my institution? Because they come to play for us. No, they're not coming to play for you. They're coming to play for a coach. It might be the head coach. It might be the position coach. It might be the coordinator. It might be 2 of the 3. It might be 1 of the 3. It might be all of them. If Saban went to if Saban said, I don't want to coach anymore, I want to go to North Texas and be a coach, I want to go to less of a limelight, whatever. Do you think he couldn't get some of the top recruits to come to North Texas? Because some players just want to play with him. It's just a fact. Then there are some guys, and these are the guys that we have to capitalize on. We have to capitalize on the guys that want to play right away. Where they come to Kentucky and they find, okay, I'm looking at the wide receiver depth chart. Okay, I think I'm better than that kid. I'm going to go there because I think I can play now. I want to go to a place where I can make an imprint. I can create a legacy. I can create a different culture. I can make a bigger impact right away. Those are the guys that we need to capitalize on. The guys who want to come here because they want to create a legacy, like Benny Snell, like Josh Allen, like those guys have created for themselves. Even to me, like Steven Johnson. Those are the guys that we need to capitalize on. We need to get those guys right now. And if they want to come here, we take them. It's not, stars do matter. I don't like when people say stars don't matter. Stars do freaking matter. You don't want a 1-star. I mean, but that 3 to 4, there's not a real difference to me between 3 and 4. There's a bigger drop off between 5 to 4. There's a huge cliff from 5 to 4, and there's a baby step from 4 to 3. So we need those high 3-star guys to come here and they want to play right away. And they got a little chip on their shoulder because they feel like they should be a 4-star and they're not. But they have a chance to come here and play right now. Because we're not quite we're getting close. We're not quite at the place where we just have crazy amount of depth, where a guy comes in and he's not going to play at least the next year. We're getting there though. So those are the guys, the type of recruits. And even though this recruiting class might not be rated as high as some of the previous classes, I really like the class. I like the mix. Now, we don't have as many 4-stars as we had last year. I think we had like 7, and we think we have only 2 this year. But we feel the need. It's like when you draft in the NFL draft, do you try to draft best available or do you draft for a need? In college, you need to draft for a need, not best available. You need to get the guy who can come in and make an impact now. And I think those 3 receivers that we got this year and the 3 receivers that we got last year, and as Josh Ali comes back and Epps comes back off that foot, I think we got some depth at that wide receiver position, which I thought we would have this year. I was telling people that the wide receiver position would be, I wouldn't say a strength, but better than what people thought it would be. But didn't happen. So I was wrong on that assessment. But I feel good about the class. I feel good about us honing in on in-state. Even though we don't have a lot of quantity, we have some quality in-state, and we basically dominated that. And that's always a good thing because those guys have a different feel for the program, a different love for the program. And that can infiltrate the whole locker room and create a different atmosphere because of those guys who are from in-state, if they are ballers. And they got to be ballers, though. Last thing before I get off is my man Cohen. I like the hire. One big thing I've stated many times on Twitter was, all right, it might have been DMs. I've talked with some people offline, is that we need a guy who has called plays before. We don't need to chance and see if he can call plays. Even if he called plays and it wasn't, some people say it wasn't the greatest, but at least he's been in that booth on that field, been in the war with live bullets, having to call plays against live bullets and not against and not just being a passing game coordinator or quarterback coach. I got a question. Dougie5 at Dougie5 said, how many incoming transfer do you see? I'm not sure, Dougie. I'm not really up on how many scholarships we have. We got 17 there today. I can look. If we can get one difference maker wide receiver, I will take him in a heartbeat. I will find a way to get a scholarship. Maybe we get an offensive lineman. I've heard some things about a couple portal guys. Maybe we get offensive lineman because we're young. Although we got Flax and we got some guys who have played, but we are losing our our stud. To me, Drake Jackson's been a stud of that line for the last couple of years. So I can see possibly 2 to 3. We definitely don't need a secondary player. We need a receiver. We definitely need a running back. I wouldn't get another quarterback. I can see an offensive lineman, maybe a tight end difference maker if someone's out there, and maybe a defensive lineman, maybe. Oh, a linebacker. And we probably need a linebacker. Since we lose Oates, then we probably need a linebacker. So a linebacker, maybe 3. I can see definitely a wide receiver, maybe an offensive lineman, and we need a linebacker. I could definitely see those 3. I don't know how many more scholarships we have. We can definitely get a difference maker at tight end or a difference maker at defensive lineman. I wouldn't be mad at it. Oh, I guess we did get defensive lineman with Dingle brother. So we probably need a defensive lineman. So linebacker, offensive lineman, and wide receiver would be the definites for me. So 3. So back to Cohen. Being a play caller, it's a underrated skill set. And him having that experience in the past helps. Now, this is going to be the thing I want to caution people for. If you look at the Rams play on Sunday and you think we're going to run that exact playbook, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. Remember, those are professionals. All they do all day is football. Implementing a system in a spring and then a fall camp is going to be difficult. Now, if you saw what the Rams ran in preseason, if we had a preseason game, then I can say, okay, watch that first preseason game when they're very vanilla. That's what we're going to start off with. You have to build in your installation. You just can't come out running what the Rams running in week 15 this season and think, well, it'll be cool we run that play. It ain't going to happen. It's just not. There's a foundation. You build from the foundation. You build from the start of his philosophy, of his schemes, and then you keep building on them. It's like, think about when we had Lynn at quarterback in 19, and how we started off with some zone reads. Then we started elevating. We started progressing, adding more and more plays. Because you got to perfect the foundation before you can keep moving up. And now, since I said, you know what, I did this little quote this afternoon about something I read from, I think it was Jeff Howe in the Atlantic, and I definitely put it on Twitter. But I want to read this to you again because these are things that I've been saying for a long time. All right, I can't remember what the question was, but Cohen said it's about players, not plays. How many times have I said that? It's freaking execution. All right. Now, I highlighted stuff that I think was poor. I'll just read it, the whole thing. I thought I did a decent job of that at Maine. Being here with the Rams, you learn it's truly about the players. Everybody runs a lot of the same scheme. You can dial up stuff. And when I said dial up stuff, how often do I say? You can scheme something. And you can scheme a play to get somebody open. Sometimes you can't live off of that stuff. That's what he means by you can dial some stuff up. You can have some core concepts every week that might really challenge the defense schematically. Exactly. But at the end of the day, it's about players and how can I fit and mold my ideas that I like to the personnel at Kentucky. That's the best thing I like him to say. Mold his ideas to what he has in his locker room. I might love a play, but if we can't execute it, it doesn't matter. It really about what the players can execute and what they can handle. Everybody talks about Eddie Gran, why he's not doing this, why he's not doing that. That last line might be a big indication of why. It might be a big indication of why. So temper your excitement about doing some crazy round plays yet, because our players cannot handle the concepts that the Rams are doing. Now we can do the foundation, but some of those plays we won't have the personnel, and 2, players won't be able to handle it. And I always say, if you can't do a play in practice, how can you expect a player to do it in a game? Now, with all those things, I think I have a little less ego with that than I did before. And I stated that on the locker. Some of these coaches, when we was talking with Anthony Wright, some of these coaches feel like what they did at a certain other school, they can do at their new school. The personnel is different. So they have an ego. Well, if I did it at Florida State, I should be able to do it here. Well, maybe not. Like, I like this play and it's going to work against this defense. But if we didn't complete, if one time in practice all week, I'm not going to call it. Exactly. You can have the most extensive playbook, but if your players can't handle it, can't execute it, you're not going to call it. When I got to Kentucky in 93, Coach Archer, which is a former LSU coach who I've known, his playbook was extensive. He got there in the spring. When I came in the fall, we was running about 3 coverages. That playbook had about 20 coverages. When I got a senior, that's when we started really delving into the playbook because we could handle it. We've been in the system for 4 years. I might not have had that humility, if you will, a couple years ago. We're in the NFL. If you don't execute a play in practice, well, we're not going to call it in the game, period. As part of that, Cohen will implement another tactic coming to the NFL. Now, this is huge. The night before games at Kentucky, he'll ask his quarterback which play they're comfortable running, which one should be scrapped. He'll solicit input from the offensive line, prefer blocking techniques, and which route the receivers are prepared to execute. That dialogue has been fruitful with the Rams. That is key, guys. I want you guys to understand that. That is huge. So when he comes in here, and you expect him to run some plays, be cautious about it. And I'm cautiously optimistic about how we can do. And don't go. And I was thinking about, let me go back to the Maine. I started watching the game. It was Maine against Delaware. Then I thought about it. He's a different guy than he was there then. He's not the same guy he is now. So therefore, why would I look at a game and try to see what he ran in 2016 that he's not going to be running now? He's got a new influence, he's got a philosophy. For some reason, I can't even think. Than he had in 2016. All right. So it's going to be probably a merge between some of the stuff he learned with McVay, which is really a combination of a little Bill Walsh, a little Mike Shanahan, a John Gruden. It's going to be a little of that. He's going to have to figure out, can these quarterbacks take a snap on the center? Can his center snap? That's a lot of moving parts to this. And I hope everybody's patient. Now, I'm going to give you something to end with. Since I'm at 8 o'clock. I'm bumped up against the time. We're going to have a lot of success next year with Cohen. You know why we're going to have a lot of success? Because as a defensive coordinator, I don't know what the hell he's going to run. That first 4, 5, 6 games, we should have some. If we do well in spring and the guys grab onto the concept in the system, we are going to be really, really good early on because nobody knows what we're going to run. What you gonna go back to? You're gonna go back to his main days? Please do, because he's not gonna run those plays. Are you gonna go and watch the Rams? Please do. He's not gonna run those plays. He's gonna run some plays similar. But it's gonna be hard to game plan against him because you have no idea what he's gonna run. So we're gonna have some success early on. That's why I tweeted out last week that Drink is the Missouri head coach is gonna hit a bump next year because guys are gonna have tape on him. Because the stuff he ran at App State does not apply to the Missouri team he had. But now, if you watch the end of the season, teams started dialing in. Well, teams are gonna start dialing in to Cohen probably towards the end of the year. But the thing about it though, it's gonna be difficult. You know why? Because he's going to be evolving the system too. So he's going to be adding plays to the system. Just the same way Coach Grant was adding plays to the system in 2019. It was hard to game plan. People was like, well, why? They know we're going to run the ball. Well, he was adding wrinkles every week. And Cohen is going to add wrinkles every week. But then the brilliant defensive coordinators, once they get an idea and once they get all off season to game plan and see and scout, then it's going to be a difference the next year. And that's why a lot of offenses with new offensive coordinator, they take a dip in the second year because teams they have film on you. They understand what you like to call in certain situations. They understand what you like to call when you're on one hash, when you're in the green zone, when you're in the go area, when you're in the. They understand. They get a bead on you, and so that is what's going to happen in 2022. Just giving you guys some insight. It's going to be difficult for the first 4 or 5 teams to scout us. It really is because you have nothing to scout. And if you think what Cohen runs in week 1, he's going to run in week 2, you're fooling yourself. Now, there's some core plays he like. He's going to keep running those the next week. But the scheme, the plays are going to be, if the guys can handle it, it's going to be evolving. And then it's going to be, he has film on you as a defense. So he can scheme stuff up for you. So he might come up with some new plays the next week because you run a specific defense that he knows he can run these specific plays to beat you. So you heard it here first. Year 1 is going to be a successful year. I really do believe that because no one knows. Let's see if we have a successful year in 1, year 2 will prove how great of a offensive coordinator he is. Because he can repeat 1 to 2, he's a freaking stud. And if he's a freaking stud, he won't be here long. All right. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys have a good rest of your hump day night. And I will see you guys on Friday.